everyone. Welcome to the Box Angeles podcast with me, your host, Mike Elder. Sorry it's been so long, guys. If I'm being completely honest with you, it turns out it's really hard to schedule talent during a strike. It just seems like a lot of people don't want to talk right now. Maybe it's the zeitgeist in the world and the strike and all this stuff. So I've had a heck of a time trying to schedule people on the podcast. And honestly, I haven't been prioritizing it maybe as much as I should. So sorry for the hiatus, but we're back with a fresh episode this week. If you think of anyone that would be great for the podcast, hit me up on Instagram or email me or whatever and let me know. Refer people. That's the best way for me to find people, honestly, because it's easier. There's that connection. But cold calling during a strike has not been working. Hopefully now with potentially the strike ending, we can start picking this up on a regular cadence. I will hopefully be better, but I apologize for the delay. I want to shout out a Patreon patron, David Ashton. Thank you for subscribing to the Box Angeles Patreon. That means a lot. If you want to get a shout out, go to patreon.com/BoxAngeles. All the legacy episodes are up there. All pre-COVID episodes are up there exclusively on our Patreon. And you can listen to them in Spotify now, so it makes it super easy if you subscribe to Patreon and then listen to podcasts in Spotify. Bing, bang, boom, super easy. Also, please, if you're new to the podcast, check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoxAngeles. Clips and videos of all the episodes are up there. A lot of great content in there. I would encourage you to take a look and subscribe. Well, like I said, we're back with a new episode, obviously. This is why I'm recording this. And my guest this week is actor Emily Pendergast. Emily is delightful. You might recognize her from shows like Veep or The Conners, or she performs at Groundlings. She's a teacher there now. She's been there for a very long time. Emily is so sweet, so kind, so funny. I didn't know her. She was referred to me by our mutual friend, Jessica Sherman, who's a past Box Angeles guest. And this was a really good conversation. I am really trying to think about mindfulness and being appreciative and grateful lately. So we talked about her career, her SNL audition. It was a really good conversation. I think this was worth the wait. I think it's been 2 months. Oh, I'm sorry. This new episode was definitely worth the wait, and Emily couldn't have been more fun and a great conversation. I say that every time. Every conversation's great, let's be honest. Well, okay, anyways. Again, thank you for your patience, and I hope you enjoy this episode. And without further ado, I give you...
Oh, there's a hummingbird. Okay. Hi, Emily Pendergast. And a hummingbird.
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in and doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to meet you. We don't know each other, so it's a pleasure.
I'm excited to be here.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. Or thanks for coming down. You mentioned you listen to a bunch of stuff, so thanks for listening to some stuff before coming on. Not everyone does that, so thank you for doing your homework.
I'm a cripplingly good student.
You get an A for me.
Thank you.
And a gold star.
Perfect.
Wow.
That's great.
Hey, I want to talk to you. I'm curious. I've been in this weird headspace lately, so I kind of want to get weird right away.
Let's get into it.
I just got back from Costa Rica, and I'm reading a meditation book.
Sick brag.
Like a mindfulness book about being present and non-doing and all this stuff. So I just was thinking, last night when I went to bed, I was thinking about you, and I was like, I wonder where her headspace is, right? Like, when you look back, we're in I feel like sort of a changing period with the strike ending and stuff. When you look back at where you're at in your career, what do you think? What's your thought? Are you grateful? Do you want more? Are you unsatisfied? Where's your headspace at?
We're just going to let it rip. I love it.
I'm curious because if you need me to talk more, I can talk more. But.
No, that's great. I love that. I think because of the time we're in, I have been really reflective of everything. Yeah. And when the strike ended, I think everyone, talking to a bunch of friends, everyone's like, yes. And then it's like, oh my God. And now we have to rush. And so it's the stress of that is back too. But I think always figuring out where the goalpost is always moving. Right. And so it's when things happen, and I'm so thankful, very grateful for everything that's come up for me and that I've gotten to do. So I'm satisfied, but of course I want more. And I think being able to stretch a little bit in different directions too, because now I'm not as scared, because I think for so long I was like, no, I do comedy and that's it, and so I think being able to stretch a little bit more and write more, I think will be awesome. And so, yeah, I think I have a lot of gratitude. I have a lot of fear always around it of every time I work, I drive home from the last day and I go well, that's the last job I'll ever work. So I have a lot of fear around it too. And so, yeah, I think it's like a lot of things can be true at the same time, I think. So I think there's gratefulness, fear, excited. I'm excited. And then it's like, just the unknown is always blows my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a couple things that triggers, like, I think a lot of actors get so excited to get the job and then they don't necessarily appreciate the moment of the job, right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, when's lunch? Can I go home? Type of thing.
Right.
But like we strive so hard for this thing. So have you found yourself, I don't know when the last thing you booked was, but do you find yourself enjoying those things?
I do. Okay. I have worked very hard to continue to try to be present. I remember I was listening to an interview of Tony Hale, and it like really struck in my head. But Tony Hale talked about like always wanting that next thing, and he was like, why does this not feel satisfying? When I think it was Arrested Development maybe, when he was like, why does this not feel satisfying? And he's like, because he was so worried about the next thing. And that really hit me because I realized I was like, oh, when I get together like college friends or things, they tell stories and like, sure, I was drinking, but like, I was like, I don't remember that shit. I was like, what is I was like, I don't remember any of this. and so I was like, man, I spent so much of my life not being present.
Yeah.
And so I think when I'm working, I'm so psyched to be there. Like I can be a bit of a nerd being like,
that's great.
Like, whoa, what is that person doing? What's that person doing? Like who's in charge of what? Cause I don't have a degree in this. So I sometimes don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
But I like that you're aware of it. Cause like for me, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't booked anything this year. Obviously, there was a down period, but still, I'm non-union, so I'm SAG eligible.
Great.
Which is depressing. But
no,
so I've still had auditions, but I haven't booked anything. And it's just like the last thing I booked and shot was this time last year. And I'm like, it's been a year. And I was like, I'm just like thinking out loud. Like, I wish I had something so I could appreciate it and be in that moment and like really soak it in.
Yeah. And I think we can tell ourselves a lot of like, be so thankful for this self-tape. And it's like, I am. It's also, it's hard.
Yeah.
I just recently was cleaning out my inbox and I out loud, my husband was like, what did you just say? Because I didn't realize out loud I went, ooh, the amount of no's I've gotten. Like, so I think it's like, yeah, it's hard.
Right.
It's very hard.
Yeah. And to like soak in those wins. And
yes.
Just like, because I do think actors are very guilty of like, oh, if I just book it, I'll be happy. And then they book it and then they don't even like think about the fact that they're on set or enjoying it or
because
soaking it in, like you learning what everyone's doing and paying attention to everything and appreciating it.
But of course, like I go that drive home, I'm like, well, I probably messed a lot of things up. And I'm like, yeah, I should have done it like this. And then I go like, and when's the next thing?
Where do you think that self-doubt comes from?
My childhood? No. No. I think, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's like I'm the youngest child, and so I'd be like trying to like get attention.
Right.
And I really, this is if we're going to really get into it.
Why not?
I have been recently diagnosed with ADHD,
okay,
which has been like really mind-blowing and very validating and satisfying for a lot of things. So I'm like, oh, whoa, this makes so much sense. And it is like especially like with women, I'm learning about this, like with women in ADHD, like you kind of like mask and you go like, I'll just be this person or I'll be this, like, what is this situation need from me? And so I think maybe that of going like, oh, I didn't like know who I was at my core until like, truthfully, like until I started like improvising and like really tapping into like what my own funny bone was or like what my own comedic point of view was, I think. So when I can like lock into that, I feel more confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the ADHD diagnosis it has to give you some sort of like answers, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there was things in your past where you were like, wait, why do I feel this way?
Right.
And then you're like, oh, it's because of.
Yeah. Like my teachers would call my mom and be like, she's doing fine. Like she's a pretty BC student, but she's bringing everyone down around her.
Sure.
And it's because I'm like, yeah, I'm doing all right. But I was just an idiot to everyone else.
But do you find though that like, okay, so the self-doubt you have is after the project. That's interesting. Do you feel like you're getting you don't get the validation booking it, obviously, or maybe you do, but like you're just questioning everything.
Yeah, constantly.
But do you ask for feedback on set and stuff to just like assuage that fear a little bit, or are you just like quiet in the corner? Let me hope to God I'm doing this right.
Pretty much that one.
Really?
Yeah, I think because it also, it's so interesting to go from like stage to like filming too, because like, man, when I'm doing a sketch show, I know what's working because you're telling me, you know, and except for when it bombs, I'm like, you guys are all idiots. This is hilarious.
I'm the funniest person around. You guys are idiots.
You morons. But then it's like quiet, and I think I also, it's such a hard balance because it's like, I don't want to be obnoxious and be needy. So I don't ask for that either. But like,
yeah, that is tricky.
Yeah. So I think, especially when I first got started and like the consistency of work too has helped with that. So it is like, I think I'm constantly trying to work on like how to not have to be so validated to like know my worth and go like, oh no, I trust myself and I think I was great.
Yeah.
And then that's enough, I think.
Could it be something though as simple as just like maybe a director saying that's great? Is that enough for you? Same for me.
Yeah, those are great. Oh God, are you kidding me? I'll write that down and read it every day.
But do you still have those self-doubt fears if a director's great and is giving you that sort of feedback?
Probably.
Interesting.
It's just so internal. Do you have anything like that, or are you like?
I have about certain things.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I haven't booked enough to really have that fear on set, but definitely from time to time it creeps in.
I think I'm constantly worried about being fired.
That's interesting. You're even hunching over now. You're like, don't fire me from this podcast.
He's like, we're just gonna be done. Thanks. Yeah, I think I'm constantly worried about being fired.
I also have that straight white male vibrato though. That is all sort of.
It's a nice bravado you got there.
Is self-assured when I shouldn't be.
Right.
I do trivia on Tuesdays nights. And last night,
where?
Spitz, Los Feliz.
Great.
And I last night I'm like, oh, this is the answer, 100%, wrong. Everyone's giving me shit. I'm like, well, hey, I thought it was.
Yeah, at least I was confident about it.
Malcolm Gladwell said my instinct right away is always right. Okay, so it's not my fault.
That's perfect. Yes. Okay, I need a little bit of that. I'll share with you.
How can I give that to you?
I'll just take it. Yeah.
So back to the initial question though, let's go down a weird choose your own adventure. Let's say everything ended right now.
Great. Okay. Really cool. I don't have enough saved.
Let's just say like your worst fear happens and you don't book anything ever again.
Yeah.
And this Finn. Where are you at with your body of work? Are you content? Are you happy you got a chance? Are you happy you went for it? Or are you sad that you didn't achieve what you, I assume, aspired towards?
I'm sad because I know there's more that I could do.
I love that.
Yeah.
See, there's a confidence.
There it is. I'm cured. Thank you so much.
All we gotta do is give you a doomsday scenario when you get there.
Worst case scenario.
Wait, do you just think about that? Sort of that mix though, that you're self-doubt, but then you have a little confidence when I ask that question?
Yeah, what is that? Because I think please help me.
I've learned from my therapist, just let you talk and you'll figure it out on your own.
My therapist, she'll be here any minute. Maybe because I think at my core, I do know my truth of like, I do know I belong here and I have like cool things to do. I think like it's the one thing in my life that I've been like, I really like this. Like I'm good at this. And it's just that constant, like, hopefully I don't get cut out. Hopefully hopefully this works. I mean, the very first thing I ever booked had that thing of like, everyone, it's on at this time. Like everyone tune in, have people over. Don't ever do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, here it comes. And then I was like, and that's where the scene should have been, and just cut out of it.
Oh no.
And of course, like, I know that has probably nothing to do with me. Yeah, right. And like, it didn't move the story along, whatever. But it was just like such a gut of like, oh, well, I can create a story around that.
What show was that?
Love.
Oh, you got cut out of Love?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And it was, and I recently just
How big was the party you had?
I mean, I was there for 5 days because I was like the bride, but I had one like talking scene, which was super fun and great. And it just, They didn't need me.
Right, but how many people did you have at your viewing?
Oh,
party?
my party. I thought you said part. Sorry. Constant narcissist. I guess now I'm real confident. A big handful.
How many pizzas did you order?
A lot. I think it was one of those. Like big mamas, like those.
Wow.
And I was like, we're gonna be partying.
We're gonna be watching for a while.
It's pretty cool. And then I was like, wow. I'm gonna go. This is when I still smoked. I was like, I'm gonna go just chain smoke outside.
What was your reaction from everyone else? Was they like,
it was,
you were great?
It was
in
like,
the background.
That's okay. That's okay. It was a lot of that. Like, it happens. It happens, you know.
God, that just feels like a scene from like a Parks and Rec or something.
Yeah. I mean,
Amy Poehler's gonna be on the news, and then they cut her out of the news.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't do that anymore.
Smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, you should write a short film about that.
I probably should. Yeah. It's just not a good feeling.
Well, the reason I asked this is because from where I'm sitting, you've had a lot of success, and you have had a lot of success, and we haven't acknowledged that. But it's just so funny. It's like a lot of people, especially me, I've been guilty of this. I'm like, if I just book one thing,
yep,
I will have made a mark.
Yeah. It's all about trying to get to that party.
Yeah.
It's like once I get to the party, I'm so, because I feel like for so long, it's like you look in the window and you're like, how do I get to that party, man? I just want to go to that party. And then when you're there, it's like, oh shit, there's another room in here. Like, oh, there's a cooler bar.
That's an amazing analogy. Oh, there's a back bar to this party that I've been trying to get. Yeah. That's such a good analogy.
Yeah, but that's how I'm like, yeah. But if I were to like talk to my younger self, they'd be psyched with everything that I've gotten to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's those check boxes, right? It's like join SAG, book a TV show, book a commercial even before that. Get an audition even before that.
Yeah.
And we forget because you said as earlier, the bar's always moving. But yeah, it's just interesting because I see people who get in and then don't get anything for a while, but also people that get one and the snowballs. And it's just like, I don't know. I've been reflecting a lot.
I love that
sort
though.
of stuff.
Yeah. What meditation books are you?
The book I'm reading is Wherever You Go, There You Are by J.K.Z.
Okay.
John Kabat-Zinn.
Oh, wow. I love that quote.
That's the name of it.
Yeah, the name of that. I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because it talks about sort of like choosing simplicity and non-doing is interesting because I always feel, I talk about this a lot on the podcast and with my therapist. It's like there's always this pull, especially with TikTok and stuff. Yeah. TikTok, what a bad reference, but it's true. Yeah. So for me, I have a treasure trove of content of interviews on this podcast. Yeah. Sitting on my hard drive, I'm like, I should be putting them out there.
Right.
And there's this pressure to produce and create. Oh my God, and it's like, no, there's a value in sitting in the stillness and the non-doing, sitting next to Crafty, enjoying that you're there in that room, in that party. Yeah. Hanging out type of stuff.
I so think so too, because and like just the people you get to meet too, and not like a like smarmy, slimy, like networking way, you know, but like just like I get to like learn about this person and just I love when I like forget my phone at base camp, you know, and I can just like sit and be because when else can you do that? I
agree.
Yeah.
Especially too, like the idea of like producing and creating content. It's just, it can be exhausting. It can wear you down just stressing out about not doing it. So allowing yourself to just be like, I'm not doing anything right now. Being present is great, I think. Even
when you like are looking at those videos too, and you're like, God, can't just go out to dinner. And like,
we might be on different spots in our meditative journey. Okay. Our mindfulness journey.
Just go to dinner.
You can come to trivia next week.
Okay, great. I'm in. I won't know much, but
hey, don't let that self-doubt creep in.
I'm gonna know everything.
100% wrong.
Yeah, but it like just like that pressure to create. I think because like my husband and I made really stupid vines because they came out of. I think everything like that's like really cool and has like magic powers in it is like something that's made for the right reason. And and it was such an accident, but a friend of mine was going through chemo treatments and we like put on this stupid wig. We both were just like putting on things and like yelling at each other in like dumb ways. And we sent it to him and he was like, these are so funny. Like, thank you. And he's like, put these on Vine. And like, it was like right. We got in late, but like right as Vine was ending. But like all of a sudden I was like, what is happening? And it was like all of them had like millions and millions of views. I was like, oh, but we weren't like trying. And then the moment we were like, oh God, now we have to like recreate this. It took all the fun out of it. It was so that pressure is so hard. Yeah.
It makes you uncomfortable and it makes you feel like it just takes the fun out of it.
Yeah. I think if I can run headfirst into joy like forever, that's where I want to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
Did you get that from a book? Run headfirst into joy?
I don't know. When I
the Marie Kondo story?
Yeah. And get rid of your tank tops.
Did she say that?
No, just like things that don't bring you joy. Do you have so many tank tops?
That's the one thing I love about the gay culture that I wish I could steal. Is
they got
whenever I wear tank tops, people always yell at me and they're like, "You look stupid." I'm like, "No, I look great."
They yell at you.
From across the street. Take off that tank top, you dumbass. I'm like, no, I can do it.
I'm doing fine. Yeah, I get it.
Let me ask you about like, I don't know if you feel this way, but I'm sure you do. So like, I feel like I've had momentum stifled a couple times recently, and everyone has strike, COVID.
Yep.
Do you have a way to come out of that or push through those sort of stoppages in momentum?
I think mine is doing groundling shows, and I think because like that, I remember like it's like when you know, speaking of like manifesting and like being present, all those things. If I really think about like what I want, like my dream scenarios, to be in an ensemble of brilliant people that are better than me, and I want to like learn from them. And so when I had this realization when I was like, oh, I do that at Groundlings. Like there's these people that I've adored and idolized for so long. And when I get to like guest on other improv teams at like UCB and stuff, I'm surrounded by these brilliant people that I love and look up to. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing that. So it's like, yes, it's not like booking, but like I am doing that. So that helps me continue my momentum. And I think a little, but those like stoppages are very hard.
Yeah.
And so I think that is like a good forward push for me to go, because I'm happiest when I'm like doing those things. And I mean, during COVID, we would do online improv shows. Wowie. I would have to put shoes on just to feel like a human being. And I'd be like, this isn't good. I'm like running around my house. Like, this feels great. But it was like the most like, I was like, whoa, I needed that so much. And it was what we could do at that time. And it was so fun. But that is like a good push for me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What exactly part of it is are you getting the joy out of? Not joy, but like is resetting you? Is it the performing? Is it the learning? Is it the laughs?
I think truly all of that, I think. Like, and just like doing stupid bits and just like being with friends and wearing dumb wigs and
silliness.
It's the silliness.
Yeah.
I love the silliness so much. And I can't believe I get to like play dress up forever, you know? And so, I think it's like the writing and like just like tapping into that creative part of your brain. And it's therapeutic to like write sketches, I think, sometimes if they're like based off of one thing or like based off like something you're like, well, that makes me feel weird, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like your early Vine. Like it was just, you're doing it for the love and the joy and the therapy aspect of it rather than the work. It's an audition. I got to get it done.
Yeah. If I hold it at something so tight of like, oh my God, I want this so bad. I'm like, not a chance, because it's like, God, they can smell that. They can smell it.
Of course.
And it's getting into that. My friend Edie always says like, if you can get into that true, like, fuck it's headspace, it'll just pop off.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What is your relationship with improv now? I feel like the bubble burst a bit, and then with COVID, obviously it bursted, and then I don't know. You were in the main company. You're a teacher at Groundlings.
Yeah.
Do you still have the same sort of love for it, or is it a little tainted? Or I've never really been around the Groundling scene, so I don't know the vibe over there. But I
still really love improv. I love it. I during COVID, I got to like meet a couple people, so I've gotten to do more shows at UCB too, which is so fun because I love playing with people I don't know and get to know them throughout that way. And I never took classes at UCB because I don't like improvising as myself. That's like my worst fear.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're shocked. And so I love hiding behind characters.
Yeah.
And but no, I love it. And like I throughout, like when I went to college, I changed my major a million times and like nothing was making me happy. And then when I went to Groundlings and like met people in my classes, I was like, oh, this is why nothing else has worked out, you know? And I think improv can sometimes like be like my church, you know, like it can be like, it forces me to be so present, be decisive. It makes me such a better listener, and to listen to like understand and not respond, and like to work with people. And I think there's so many great life lessons in improv too. And like how someone improvises that is how I think they are in life too. You know, like funny. Really like team players that like make you look awesome and will do anything for you.
What was that last movie? The last one was like a...
Oh yeah, just do anything like for you. I was fingering someone. That's cool, right?
Totally.
Great.
As long as they say yes.
Yeah, of course they say yes. Is it? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Well, if somebody moved out here now, like if an actor moved out here now, would you encourage them to get into improv? And would you still, yeah?
I think so.
Would you encourage them to try to chase stage time though? Because I feel like that's where it kind of got icky a bit there for a while. It was so competitive and so like cutthroat and like
which is like the complete opposite of what improv is. I know, and that's it's nuts to me.
Turned a lot of people away, kind of me included.
Yeah, I bet. And I think I've heard like from like older Groundlings alum, and like they're like, this generation, you know, I've been a main company member I think for like 6 years now, and like they're like, this generation is like truly the I got your back generation. And like because it used to be
right now,
because I guess like, you know, way before my time, like it used to be,
I've heard that,
like watch out, you know, and like watch your back basically, you know. And I think and everyone's still like family and great friends and everything, but like you just hear stories about like how competitive all these places were, and I'm like, that feels so wrong.
Yeah.
And because I don't compare myself to someone else. Like I'm like, that's great if they're gonna, you know, because I'm like, I can't. What is that saying? Comparison is a thief of joy. You know, like
absolutely. I
cannot get wound up in that, because I'm like, if you're doing great, that's fucking awesome.
Right.
And like, I'm going to celebrate you. I'm going to finger your chain. And
but for me, what really got me upset was like, the UCB was one audition a year, right? For Herald teams. And it was like, how is that an effective way to manage this? If I'm paying hundreds of dollars for classes, like, why does my teacher's reports from a weekly basis not go into effect when suddenly 1,000 people auditioned for this and this is all that matters? It just felt like it was so political, and it was like not merit-based. And why am I throwing all this money in there when it's just about who's around the most? And it just felt like... It felt like Hollywood is that enough, and I don't need more of that with improv, which is supposed to bring me joy.
Right. Yeah, which you're like paying to be at.
Right.
Too. And I do think I got pretty lucky in like the classes that I was in. I mean, the very first class I ever took, the students were like so jaded, so crummy, and like just like mean. And I was like, what the hell is this? Like, and I almost didn't go back. But I was like, I'm going to try this again, because I really got to know like this one person in my class, and I was like, well, let's try this again. And the next class was like awesome. Like
this
just
like
just as you would want it to be, you know, and like feel supported, feel like you could really just like let it rip there and like just make some dumb choices.
Yeah.
And then from those classes, we started to form improv groups. And I was so green to any of, like, that was my first acting class too. Like, and so we started to do that. And then we like performed next to the Jiffy Lube for like 5 years at this like stinky place where like you could perform if you brought like a case of beer.
Sure.
But it's like, that's where like I met like such an awesome crew of people that it felt like I wasn't fighting to get on stage at like the like places like Groundlings used to be Second City. I was like, oh, let's just like book at this weird coffee shop, you know, kind of thing, and like do improv.
Yeah, see, that makes sense to me. That sounds great.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It felt like it got so far away from that.
I know. I wonder
Pay
what
a coach
that is.
$100 a session to fight
yeah.
for clubhouse time,
right?
To perform for other improvisers.
Yeah.
Schedule 10 people at rehearsal once a week and shows.
I know.
It was just like, who am I doing this for?
I know. Yeah. Again, it's like
Oh, good.
No, please.
I was gonna say, well, I'm glad you feel that there's still inherent value to it.
Yeah, and I feel like one of my goals of being a groundling, one of the many, is like to like be a very big advocate for these students. And I love teaching. I love it so much, and I loved my teachers. And I directed 6 months of Sunday company too, and I had so much fun like seeing people like shine, and so being an advocate for those students, I think, is really good. And also going like, you don't have to be great here. Like this is one of many, like you do not have to succeed here to like be an incredible actor, comedian, whatever. Like to also, I always like check in with yourself. Like, do you like this style? Because there's so many different outlets, so many cool things that you can tap into. Like now there's like clowning and things like that too. I've never done that. Have you?
I've done mascotting.
What is that?
Like, why did you? I was the mascot in college at the university.
What university?
Minnesota.
Great. What's their mascot? I thought
Goldie the Gopher.
Oh, okay. I thought mascotting was like a new performance type of thing.
Could be. I should start a class and charge hundreds of dollars and make people hate each other and cut each other down behind their backs and then throw auditions once a year.
Yes. In front of it. And you have to wear the gopher head during the audition. You're like, no.
Yeah, there's a lot of different versions now.
Yeah.
Which is fun. But yeah, I do see the value of improv, but I'm glad you feel that way, because them pushing it online too, and you kind of touched on this, like online improv. I'm like, how is that helping anybody?
I know. And I taught some online, and it was cool. I think what it served a great purpose was like people that would never be able to like come out to LA.
Yeah,
and
I was just going to caveat that.
Yeah.
Because I had Will Hines on recently, and he did a bunch of classes during COVID for like people in Europe and South America that would never have access to it. So that is very cool. Like
my aunt in Virginia will never come out to LA to see it, but she like signed in every time to see it, like online. Like to watch. She didn't do it. But no, like, I had one of my classes, I had no one in California. Like I had people like waking up at like 4 a.m. in like China, and like it was so cool to see. And I think that's important to get so many different voices. And it's like, it doesn't need to be like this one thing, like it's just, I think there's so many different, like that's why I love character work so much too. 'Cause like everyone's life experience is different, and pulling from that is so important to go like, now I just want to see that person in your life, you know? So I think can be really beautiful and cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So you've sort of touched on your background a little bit. I'm trying to get away from background stuff, but I do want to know how you sort of came into acting. It sounds like you came into acting later.
Yeah.
What was sort of the genesis of you getting into performing? You're from Ohio,
I'm from Ohio, Youngstown. And I guess like, I always loved SNL, I would, there's videos of me like doing things with my doing Billy.
Where is that?
Easy skits. There's of me doing things in skits. But I would do Adam Sandler, Chris Farley sketches with my cats.
Oh, funny.
Just like, and so I always loved that, and I just didn't know how to do that in Canfield, Ohio.
You don't know how to do that.
Yeah. And so I think I took like one improv class like in like a high school. It was like an elective thing. It was like one day of like this elective. Cool. Yeah, it was so cool. And I was like, well, that was fun. And then I went to college and I graduated with a criminal psychology degree.
Checks out.
Direct path to comedy. So
nothing's funnier than serial killers.
Hilarious.
These guys, what's the deal?
What's the deal?
One guy.
They'll have
smiley faces on everybody.
Stitches. And so then I came out here and I was like, I kept wanting to be like, I just want to try this. I'd like.
So you graduated and immediately came to LA? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I told
Just because you had something in the back of your brain saying,
yeah, I
should do this.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And my mom and I drove out here, and I lied to her and I was like, I'm gonna go to grad school for sure out here. Okay. I just got to get out here and do it.
I hope you did some penance for lying to your mom.
Oh God, okay. Yeah, I'm sure I did. And then she left, and then I waited forever to take a class because they're so expensive.
Improv, you're talking.
Yeah. And then I was just working at a couple bars, and someone was like, you should go see this. And I was like, oh, great. What is that? And I looked up people, and I was like, oh, I love all of these people. So yeah. And then I started,
So it's
and I
sort
never
of
looked
just
back.
like, there's just sort of something in the back of your brain that was calling you towards it.
Yeah, I think so. And
you didn't do any shows in college or anything. It was just sort of,
I did.
you felt like you had it in you.
I think so. Yeah, I did like what I now know are sketches, like for like, but they were funny. Like they were like
Okay, you don't have to prove it.
They were so. Let's roll the tape.
Let's see it now.
They were like, I was in a sorority, and all the other sororities, their sketches weren't funny. Okay, and ours were we were playing such like gross, dumb people, which is like I love, like just like monsters. And I was like, oh, this is so fun. And we did like a night of that. So I was like, oh, that's really fun.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you were flirting with it.
I was flirting with it.
Yeah. You're giving it a little.
I didn't call it.
Corner eye.
It knew I was thinking about it.
So when you're out here, like, how did you like collect information? Obviously, you weren't listening to my podcast.
No, I mean, you weren't doing this 10 years ago.
Exactly. So, like, where did you learn how to get going? You just hopped into improv classes, and then you just sort of figured it out?
Yeah.
Step by step?
I think so, day by day.
LA casting type of thing?
Yeah. Was background, all those things. Great. And I think I just started, like, listening more about, like, people going, like, oh, you should try this, you should try this. Tried some bad acting schools too, and I was like, I don't like this, and this was like a cult. Yeah,
there's definitely those.
It sure is. And I just kind of started doing that type of thing, and I, for the longest time, I had one trajectory in my mind of going like, I'm gonna do this.
Got it.
You know, and then when that didn't happen, because with I was like, oh, I'm chasing SNL. Like, that's what it's going to be. And when that didn't happen, that was like a real, like, hard time, but then also like a really like cool thing came out of it where I was like, oh, there's so much more out here that I could be focusing on and paying attention to and like really trying to do those things as well.
Wait, did you audition for SNL? So run me through that, because I used to work at IO West, and they would do some showcases that...
I did the last showcase there that before you guys closed.
Oh, I was probably there.
Yeah.
I was probably cocktail serving.
Great.
Was that like a 5 p.m. on a Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm sure. I was probably drinking out of a bottle of wine in the alley after I showcased. And I was like,
I definitely was there, I feel like.
Yeah, because it was literally like, I think.
So that's the one you did.
So I showcased, I think, 4 or 5 times out here, and then I tested after that one.
They flew you to New York. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that experience.
Wild. It was a live week. Bill Hader was hosting, so like the building felt very alive. Yeah. I had done enough like research and listened to enough things that like everyone's like, they're gonna make you wait. I also didn't, going back to what we said, like I didn't care about waiting because I was like, are you kidding me? I'm here.
You're present. Yeah,
I'm like, this is so yes. Yeah. I was like, I don't care. Like, I was like, this is awesome. I hope they forget about me. I can sleep here. Like, and I mean, I have never been more nervous for anything in my life. And fun fact about me, I spit when I'm nervous. Okay. So like at Groundlings, I have like a trash can, my own trash can I spit before every show.
It's not involuntary. It's
no,
voluntary.
I like have to go spit. Yeah. And
you're
now
like
it's
camel.
Yeah. For sure, yes, okay. And now it's turned into quite like a stition. Like now it's a superstition that I do it.
So did you request a spit tin?
I spit in the person's dressing room trash can. so many times.
Have you told Taran Killam that you did that?
I should. I really should. But yeah. So I went there and it felt so surreal, and I just kept going like, I just want to be present here. I just want to like remember all of these things, like walking underneath the scaffolding and like there's so many wires and I was on the stage and that giant bucket camera and everything, and it was so cool. And I remember like, this is gonna sound like really woo-woo-y, but like I remember the stage felt really thin, like it felt really hollow when I did like my first thing, and then like I got like a laugh and like I settled and I felt like very like the foundation was stronger a little bit, and I truly did exactly what I wanted. And I like ran and FaceTimed my husband Corey like right afterwards, and I was like bawling, and I was like, I fucking did exactly what I wanted. I was so proud of myself. And so I had to keep remembering like that feeling, because like not getting it doesn't take like the pride away. Like I did exactly what I wanted. Like I showed them like, this is who you would get with me, you know? And I And so I was very, very proud of myself. But like when I was on hold for a while and then I didn't get it, did I dance around my living room to dashboard confessionals? Yeah, I did. What did I cry in my car and I didn't have tissues and only had my dog's shit bags and wipe my face with it? Not used, but I was like, oh my God. I was devastated. But then also as we were driving home, when I figured it out, I was like, we didn't have tissue. So I was like just pulling out the plastic bags and I was like, I see how funny this is. Like, I was so aware of it.
Shitbag Kleenex is a character you could do.
Yes. Yeah. So coming out of that I had to do a lot of work on myself.
Okay. A few follow-up questions.
Please.
Before we get into the work you did on yourself. I've heard notoriously they don't laugh at those things, but you got some laughs. That's
did.
Good.
Yeah.
That must have felt really.
It felt it felt awesome. And I think because there was a ton of people there but also
there's a ton of people watching you.
Yeah, there was like two or three. I know there's like 2 or 3 really big tables, but that's why, because I was like, I've watched all these interviews. Okay, there's going to be one person, and it was like, oh my, they're going to be up high. No, they're going to be down low. Like, I think every time is probably slightly different.
Yeah.
But because I think it was a live week and they were like rehearsing and then going into these. And so there was a lot of, so it felt like inviting, and I got laughs, and that was great. And yeah, I just remember being like, oh, I did it exactly as I rehearsed and wanted to do it.
Any feedback?
No. Just that I didn't book it.
You just got a call. You didn't get it. At least you got that.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. In Hollywood, you don't even get no's.
No.
Often. You get ghosted.
Yes, 100%. Cool. Yeah.
I like your healthy attitude, though, because not to open up a dark space where you were.
Yeah.
But you're looking at it like, I did everything I could, so I feel good. But you could also look at it like, I did everything I could,
and they still didn't want it. Right. And that is 100% true.
So did you wrestle with that at all, or
I think
was your outlook exactly what it was?
I wrestled with that. I wrestled that for sure. But then, like, within wrestling that, I was like, well, if that's the case, why I wouldn't want to be someone that doesn't want me either.
That's good.
You know. So, but yeah, I think because I put so much of like, that is what I'm going to do, you know, and going back to like the confidence thing, like I was like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this.
Oh yeah, good for you.
I'm going to invite everyone over for that call. But yeah, so I think it opened up so much more for me to go like, oh, you don't need to do this and that's it. You know, like there's more things out there.
What year was this?
2017.
Oh, okay.
2016, 2017, yeah, something like that.
And you said it opened up a lot of work on you, so the work was like, you don't know the path that you're supposed to go on type of stuff.
Yeah,
and
like you are so not in control of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So how long did that sort of recalibration take after?
A while. And I think like that is such a moment in this trajectory that like shifted something in me and went like, okay, like now you have to like, you need a little thicker skin, you know, like you can't live and die by the nose, and like that doesn't define you. And I think after that, like thinking of like going back to like the next thing, like I had been working on Veep, and like I talked to some people there, and like
after
okay. And that would have never happened if I booked SNL,
right?
You know, so I think that was really helpful, and to like just go like, oh, there's a whole other avenue. Like now there's like this cool guest star I get to play with and like meet all these incredible people and hear their stories. And so, yeah, I think just that was very, very helpful. And having conversations, there was a director, she was one of the first female directors on SNL, and she directed one of the episodes, and like we talked about things too. And she was like, gave great advice of like, this is what you're doing, this, like, this is fucking great.
Yeah. Just like optimistic advice.
Yeah. And like in true and like almost like kind of truthful advice of like, look at where you are, you know, like that's great. So
yeah, that's really interesting. When you left there, you said you called your husband and stuff, but did you celebrate yourself at all during that? I feel like that's kind of.
I did. I went out. My manager happened to be in New York, so we went out for champagne and nachos.
The oldest combo in the book.
Hey, yep. We're champagne and nachos. Just need one word to get started.
On the nachos.
No, I think we just had like ground beef.
Nothing gets my stomach going like ground beef.
Yeah, yum. this is, I don't know anything about New York. And this was when I was smoking. So I would go out of my hotel and just walk like a 3-block radius and just like smoke. Because I was like, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know where I'm at. I was like, I know I have to get to that tomorrow. And I was just like, just a mess. I was so nervous.
Oh, I bet.
But now I take that. I'm like, oh, if I could do that and feel satisfied, I can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really interesting when you have this goal to make it positive and optimistic. Like, you really want something, you had the chance.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
So many people want that as a goal and never get a chance and don't even have a resolution.
Yeah.
You know, or closure, I guess is the correct term.
Totally.
So you had it and you got that closure and it wasn't meant to be. And that's cool.
I think going what we said about like talking to like your child self, like if I could tell my 8-year-old self that I was on that stage that I watched so many awesome sketches on, the little bowl cut Emily would be psyched about it, you know? So yeah. So I feel I have a lot of pride around it now. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's really important to just reframe stuff.
Yeah, me too. Because I think I could have been a real asshole about it. I think I could have let myself
throwing up the deuces and just moved to Bora Bora. Yeah. Let me ask you. So I would call you a blue collar actor, a working actor. Thanks. When was the last time you had an odd thing?
Thanks. I'll take it.
There's the straight white male confidence we need.
Thank you.
I do that all the time. When somebody gives me a compliment, it's not even a compliment. They just say something offhand. I'm like, thank you.
You're kind. You're being kind.
You bite your nails? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I do.
No, so what I was gonna say is like, when was your last odd job? Like, how often are you working survival jobs? Are you going back and forth? Like you'll something won't book for 6 months and you're like, okay, it's getting stretched. We gotta go.
Right. I feel very lucky because I teach at Groundlings. And so even while I'm teaching, I get to like be in that headspace, which is great. Which I feel good at, you know, and feel good about being like still in that creative mindset. So I remember my last job, like serving job or bartending job, was Baby Blues in West Hollywood. And I remember I got it and I was like, this is my last restaurant job. Absolutely. And I finished.
Why?
Because I was like, I have to be done with this. Like I was like, something else has to happen, you know? And I finished Sunday Company at Groundlings. I was like, my last 6 was over the same week that Baby Blues was closing.
Sorry, the last 6?
Like, so
you get it in 6 months.
6 months, yeah, and then you're voted on, like, to like continue or you're
and
up.
You knew it was over
because I was because you get to do 3 6-month runs, and so I was in my third 6, and so it was like up or out kind of thing, and that was ending the very same week that Baby Blues was closing, and I was like, all right, here we go. A lot of shit ending. And I knew I could wouldn't be right away, but once you've done Sunday Company, like you can teach as well. So I was like, okay, maybe that could be my income. Like that could be my job. And I would just so badly wanted to teach there. And then I got into Main Company and then just started teaching. So that's my like odd job, I guess, but it feels still paralleled into like what I love to do. Yeah.
So when was Baby Blues? How long ago was that? Was that pre or post SNL audition?
That was pre.
So you've been doing good for a while.
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah.
Even during COVID, you didn't have to like. I guess you were teaching online. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and
that's great. Good for you.
Yeah. Baby Blues closed 2016, I think. Yeah.
It feels very similar to Will Hines. Will Hines has survived on, you know Will, right?
Yeah, no, just know of him.
Yeah, he's survived on teaching improv too. And
that's great.
And I was telling him, like, that's right in the wheelhouse. He's like, is it? I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're being creative. You're being creative. You're
working that muscle. Yeah. And laughing. Like, God, when my students like make me scream laugh, it makes me so happy.
Do you scream laugh?
I scream laugh.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like a loud one. When I go to shows, people will come up and go like, I heard your laugh. I knew you. And I was like, yikes. I don't say thank you to that one.
I'm going to ask something that isn't a good question, but I'm just curious. What advice do you have for me?
For you?
Rather than just general advice for people, what advice do you have for me? Tell me, we've known each other for 45 minutes.
Okay. Great.
What advice do you have for me? Because I do feel like you are a blue collar actor, right? And I feel like you've scrapped your way around and you've booked some stuff and you've had successes.
I've been scrappy about it.
And you've had your rejections. Mm-hmm. Tell me give me some advice, or don't.
No, I want to.
It's a dumb question. I don't know.
It's not a dumb question. I want to just be able to answer it how well I can. I think I know you said you don't like the improv thing was weird to you, like that whole thing.
Well, I think I was good at this is what's frustrating. I think I was good at improv. I think I had a lot of great times in improv.
Yeah,
but it just got to be one of those things where it felt like it was more of a chore than it was me having fun.
That's the pits. Yeah, I think if you can surround yourself by people you love and make you laugh, and then if you guys can do teams, if that even sounds fun to you, I think let it rip and do that kind of thing. And just keep doing. This is the best. This is so cool.
Yeah.
And because you're being so creative and improvising, mind you, this whole time, you know, and I would just say, like, I think you're doing things right. I think you're doing things that serve you and serve your happiness.
Yeah.
So I think I would just say, keep doing it.
Let's make this about me now.
I want to.
My goal when I was 30.
Tell me.
I'm turning 38 very soon.
Happy almost birthday.
Thank you. My goal when I was 30 was I'm going to book a TV credit in my 30th year. I still haven't booked a TV credit. It's been 8 years. I know, but like this is where I'm at. This is where my head's at.
I know.
Great. Wherever you are, there you are. Wherever you are, there you go. Wherever you go, there you are.
Wherever you go, you are.
Wherever you go, there you are. I'm here. I don't need TV credits. Validation is not important. But do you see what I'm saying?
To do it too, though. You want, like, it's like, I like, God damn, let me do this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I feel like I did our mutual friend Jessica Sherman's podcast.
Yeah.
I was telling her, I was on there, her and Jen, I was like, I feel like there's just so many gates, and I feel like I unlock a gate, and then it's like, oh, boom, another gate.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
I know. For sure.
I had I don't know, some really good TV auditions in the 6 months leading up to the strike, and I'm like, fuck.
Right. And you felt like you were just like
just finally getting a regular cadence of TV auditions.
Yeah.
Which it took 10 years to get, and I understand that's how long it takes, but boom, boom, boom. Right. Now I got to start over and like try to. It just feels like
get those reps back in and like
get those auditions. Even.
Yes.
It's such a fucking hurdle.
It's such a hurdle, and I know I get it. I know. I had to stop keeping self tapes too, because I would just like send it, delete it, like, because I'm like, I would watch them.
Really?
And go like, why did I do that? Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Why were you watching them? What's the benefit of that?
To rip myself apart.
That's so dark.
I know.
Wait. So this is my self tape wall. I'll do a take. I'll watch it. I'll do. I don't know. I try not to do more than 5 or 10.
Oh, same. I give myself 20 minutes, and I go done.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you watch it, your favorites, and maybe you check out one you thought about, and then you submit it.
Yeah.
You would rewatch it after you submit it.
I'd go like, oh, let me see it. Yeah. And I'm like,
oh God, that's not healthy.
No shit. Yeah, it's not healthy one bit. Yeah. No.
But you stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And go, oof. I know. But one time, then
5 minutes inside that brain. Ooh.
Yikes. You'll get lost. I don't know what I think that truly was just to like punish myself. Wow. I don't know.
When did you stop watching these?
When I was like, oh, that's bad. This is not a good thing.
Was that
like,
recently?
No, it was like during, like once self-tape started, I think probably like a few months into it of going like, oh, why didn't I get, like trying to figure out, like I think it was like trying to figure out feedback from like, why didn't I get that? You know, kind of thing.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I told Jessica Sherman this on my podcast. I was like, I hate sort of the fact that we don't get a yes or no. Not even a yes or no. It's a, that was good, that was bad.
Yes.
Because then where my brain goes is there's so many ways it could go. It was bad. Why was it bad? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah.
But it might have been good. I don't even know. But I'm in the was bad rabbit hole.
Totally. And then it's like, oh no, you actually were going to get it, but you didn't look enough like the mom they casted. You know, it's like there's so many reasons.
It's a long choose your adventure book with infinity pages.
Yes, and it can be maddening.
Oh, it's frustrating.
But yeah, and then one time I had to retape, like, so like COVID happened, and then something else happened, and they were like, will you retape it? We loved your tape. And I was like, I wonder what I did. And that I was like, shit, I deleted it.
That's funny.
And I was like, well, that's all right.
I can't believe you delete them. You should just keep them and not watch them. Would be
Yeah, right.
Do you? You know how hard that is.
In my house?
You're talking to an addict. Do you have anything that you button your auditions with, in the sense that not the actual audition, but like that is done and I'm over? Like you submit it and then do you get nachos and champagne, or do you get an ice cream treat? Or I have friends that do that. Do you do stuff like that to button to close out your audition? I have a spreadsheet that I file them in, and then I try to write something I learned from that audition.
Oh, whoa, that's great.
That's sort of my end.
That's really great.
Do you do anything like that?
I don't know. I don't do that. I love that. I would go for walks, because like I think what was so awesome about going into rooms is the obvious. Like you get to interact with someone, you get feedback, you get adjusted, you get to just see humans, and then like the drive home would be great.
Drive home is very much like I can think about it now.
Yeah, and then I can let it go.
Let it go. Yeah,
and so I think I go for like a walk afterwards, or like I just try not to think about it. It's like that. What I said, my friend Edie would be like, really get in that like fuck it headspace. And I think sometimes I can be in that headspace while I'm doing the self tape, but it's the afterwards of like, then I'm like, oh God, I really want this, you know? Yeah. And my husband Corey has been really. He gave me great advice, because I was like, I'm trying to figure out like what they want with this. And this was a few years ago, like for like, say it's like a series regular, and I'm like just reading that breakdown, you know, like God, and it's like he's like, stop trying to do first of all, you thinking what they want. Yeah. He's like, stop trying to think about what they want. Do it like you want. Do it, and do it like you want to do for like 10 years. And he's like, because how much more fun would that be? Yeah, and so that's very helpful. It goes like, it's like, yeah, I'm going to show you what I can do. And you might not want it.
But also they don't know what they want.
100%.
Do you know Dan Gill?
No.
You'd recognize him. Okay. He's in every commercial. He did my podcast, and one of my favorite stories ever on the podcast was he was like, I auditioned for a Dan Gill type and didn't get it.
Okay.
First off, it's funny that anyone said a Dan Gill type, because nobody knows who Dan Gill is. Right. And then they actually get Dan Gill in, and he doesn't. And they're like, oh my God. We didn't want Dan Gill.
Yeah, just a type. His essence. Yeah, So they don't know. Nobody knows.
Is your husband in the business? He is, right?
He is. Yeah, he is.
Great insights.
He does a lot of commercials, and he's a writer.
Acting?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's also a writer. He stepped away from acting probably 8 years ago, like theatrical acting, and it's just like which I madly respect, because he was like, before I get jaded, I'm gonna leave. Like I don't want to do this, and he's so good at commercial auditions. Him and I have gone out for 4 real couple auditions. He's booked 3 of them, and I've never been called back. He's so good.
Or you're so bad. Let's think about it.
Yeah, they're like, maybe I'm helping him get it, because they're like, whoa, yeah, gotta get my eyes off of her.
I love that you have so much positivity, and I twist it negative every
Please
time.
Please do.
Gotta keep you in check.
No, yeah, you gotta
keep you unconfident.
Yeah, you don't want this getting confident. So
he just does only commercials. That's very cool.
Yeah, he has commercials and writes.
Good for him.
Yeah.
You've been to 200 South, obviously. Yes. Whenever I go to 200 South, I like to go to Chipotle. That's right over there.
Where's there a Chipotle right there?
It's Hancock Park. It's not right there, but on the way back.
Okay.
That's sort of my fin to a 200 South
That's
audition.
Great.
Nice Chipotle burrito bowl. Oh,
yeah. Oh, nice.
I'm never thinking about that audition again.
Once I got that thinking about how full you are. Yeah, I during the strike, I've been very fortunate. I actually did work on a couple commercials, which was great. They finally hired me,
That's so funny. You seem built for commercials.
I think I'm unrecognizably bad in those rooms.
What do you mean?
Like if they're like just improvise.
Oh, like you're not as good as you normally would be on stage.
Nope. And they're like just improvise that spot and like just talk your way into it. And these are some things I've said in previous, like how about it all?
That's funny to me. I think that's funny.
I guess I'm not supposed to be funny. But
what do you think it is? Do you think it's the made up constraints that suddenly you're like, I don't know what you're a mime in
I think it's that, and I'm an incredibly quick memorizer. I'm very, very thankful for it.
Weird flex.
Yeah, right. So one thing I'm good at. I can't act it for shit, but I do know the words. Yeah, but like,
I kind of feel the same.
Yeah, but but I can memorize quickly. But with commercials, I cannot memorize it. I get nervous at the boards there. I don't know where to look.
The boards are a nightmare.
And I'm like, do I look at the board? And then I'm like, so I think it's because I'm trying to get it right. I think I'm trying to get it right so hard, or I was for such a long time, that I just was like a shell of a human in there. Yeah. And then it's like that, like, I think the pendulum swung where I was like, fuck it. And then like too far. And then I feel like I'm in a, like, I know the types of commercials I'm good at.
But the interesting thing of everything you just said, though, is I had an acting teacher who I think is great, Patrick Kavanaugh. He did the podcast. He was on like Mad Men and stuff. Great guy. What up, Patrick?
Hi, Patrick.
He doesn't listen.
He should.
He talked about like, he should, obviously. He talked about, he doesn't need this. He talked about sort of recognizing how nerves manifest themselves, but it seems like you are recognizing everything that throws you off.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I don't know if you're at this now, you're still experiencing this now, but it's like you're recognizing that the board throws you off, so you should be teaching yourself or training yourself, don't look at the board.
Yeah.
Type of stuff. You diagnosed everything that goes wrong.
Yeah.
So now it's a matter of like fixing those problems.
Totally. Yeah. And I think within the last like year or so, 2 years, I think I was able to like get a little bit more of a handle on it. Like,
you did the hard work already, right?
Yeah,
like figuring out what's breaking.
Totally. Because I was like, why am I so bad in these rooms? I'd be like, one time I had this commercial audition, and I got a call back, and I was like, oh, nice. And I got a call back, and this was probably 10 years ago, and it was for some creamer, and they're like, you're just gonna pour that creamer and you're gonna dance to Wu-Tang. And I was like, cool. And I'm doing it, and there's two people on the couch, like probably the clients and the directors, and I heard them go, well, it's obviously not her. It's like, just like dance. I was like, thank you so much.
Yeah, I was hoping you said thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's brutal.
Yeah. So I was like, something.
Cry after that one?
No.
Oh, really? Didn't care?
I was just like, yikes.
Oh, I don't want to look at that fucking
Yeah. Yay.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Take it easy.
Hey, I got one more question, but just before that, do you have anything we missed? Anything you want to think you did?
Oh, this was so easy and fast and fun.
Oh, wow. That
was great.
The review I usually... All right. The last question.
What time? Okay.
Did anyone take a chance on you that really... Yes. Tell me.
For Veep, I think somebody really took a chance on me. Ooh. And I think it was a collection of an awesome amount of people. Dorian Frankel and Sibby Kirschgessner.
Both of those did my podcast in the past.
I owe everything to them, truthfully. That's how I know Jessica. That's how I know Amanda.
Jessica Sherman. Amanda Lanker Doyle.
Yeah. And Chrissy too. And
Chrissy Fiore.
Yeah. And you gotta have her. She's awesome. I owe everything. Everything can be tethered back to Groundlings and to Veep. And like, because I got my reps because of Groundlings, and like I got that audition because of that. And I just remember like the sign in their lobby at Paramount was like, hey, like put everything aside. It said something not as eloquently as I just put it, but it was like, like it's okay if you're like nervous. It's okay if you're late, take a breath, like just come in here. We're just happy to have you here. And they were so awesome.
Casting signs.
Yes. Cool. Cause some signs are like, don't touch us, and there was this very welcoming sign, and they were so cool. And then David Mandel, the showrunner at that time that took over for Armando Iannucci on Veep, wildly took a chance on me, and I owe him everything. And he's such a cool, inviting person. That show was in its last season, and they didn't have to be as welcoming to me, and they did. And it was supposed to just be, I think, 1 or 2 episodes, and I ended up being in all of them. That's which amazing. Was so, it just... How
does that not give you confidence?
It did.
That's fucking awesome.
It did, for sure. Because I was like, yeah, it was epic. And I think like, I remember leaving because I had a chemistry with Tim Simons, who's the greatest. And my brain didn't let me go to Julia Louis-Dreyfus being in the room. I just didn't think about it. I'd also never had a chemistry read. And I'm sitting there and I recognize every other woman in there. And I'm like, I know all of these people and they're so successful and so funny. Went in the bathroom and I spit. And I came back out and Dorian was so kind to me, and so was Sibby. And they were just the most inviting human beings. And I got to improvise with Julia. At one point, she's like, "Do you want to just improvise with me?" I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I have questions for Beth." And we just improvised. And I just remember getting into my car and being like, if that's all that comes from it, awesome. I just got to improvise with her, you know? And it was just to them to like be able to continue to write me into things that, they awesome. Really took a chance on me.
That's great.
Yeah.
I also love your mindset there. You got in your car and like, if that's it, I don't care. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a real fucking headspace, I think.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I love that. Dorian and Sibby did my podcast a long time ago. Dorian was so sweet. Sibby was so sweet as well.
They're the best. I got to I was honored with presenting them with their Emmy nomination that year. Yeah. So it was really cool, which is where I met Jessica and Chrissy and Amanda.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, this was lovely, Emily. Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You got a tail slate to end this now.
You don't have to ever slate?
No. Nobody wants to see my slate.
I do.
Okay, I'm going to do mine and then you do yours. Okay. Hi, I'm Mike Elder. I'm 6 feet tall and I'm in Los Angeles.
Hi, Emily Pendergast. I'm 5'3" and I'm currently in LA.
MTV and the Channel E. A thing for celebrity.
We're just going to let it rip.